Well, it's game week. Just excited as we get closer and closer to Friday. Just looking forward to getting back with the guys. Had a good day off yesterday after a really good weekend of 3 inter squads. Had great weather last weekend and battling the elements a little bit today. Going to be inside today, but try to get a good quality practice in today, and hopefully the weather cooperate with us Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll do everything we can to get our team ready for Friday for opening day. But very excited. Guys are feeling good. Health-wise, we're in a pretty good spot, and guys are focused and ready to go, and I think they're tired of playing each other, so it's time to play somebody else.
We heard Brooks on Friday. How does the rest of the weekend shake out?
We're going to go with Brooks Crawford, game 1. We'll go with Davis Sharp in game 2, and we will go with Justin Robleski in game 3. So that will be our 3 starters for the first weekend.
How does a guy like Hennessy take that kind of news, and would he be a movie guy for this week?
I think like anybody who has stripes on their sleeves, who has started and pitched in the bullpen, he wants to start, but I also think, Jacob is one of the best teammates that you could ask for, and I think he understands that regardless of his role, that he's going to try to dominate his role. He's going to try to do the very best he can to help us win games. He's pitched out of the bullpen, and he started for us, so he's done a number of things for us. So, we certainly feel like Jacob Hennessy's going to pitch first weekend. It's just a matter of when. But he'll be one of our first guys that we'll go to out of the bullpen. He throws strikes. He's got 3 pitches. He's got experience, so he's going to be a very valuable piece for us to try to win a series this upcoming weekend.
You've got 2 young guys versus an experienced guy. What went into that decision? Because I'm sure it was a hard decision.
Very hard decision. We just felt like more than anything else that Sharp and Robleski, from a stuff standpoint, they have starter stuff, they have velocity, they have 3 pitches, and we'd like to give them that routine of being a starter early in the season so that we can map out their week and plan out their week, as opposed to giving them the call in the bullpen and, hey, get ready, you're coming in for the next hitter. We felt like more of a planned approach for those 2 guys would be beneficial to them. And we also feel like they're ready and feel like their stuff is certainly good enough to compete as weekend starters.
Yeah, 8 games in 10 days. Big test for your depth early on.
It's a huge test, but one that I'm pretty excited about. So it's a lot of baseball in a short amount of time. It's certainly going to test our starting pitching and our bullpen. We're going to have to use every weapon we have out of the pen in the first 2 weeks. So we're going to get a chance to really see what guys are able to do in a competitive environment, being able to play 8 games in those first 2 weekends from weekend to weekend. So certainly going to test us, but we're also going to be tested on the position player side. We feel like we have quality depth on the position player side as well, and we'll probably run out some different combinations because Davis Sharp is a 2-way guy. So that's going to impact kind of what we do as far as when he pitches, when he's not pitching, how do we use him, how do we use some of our platoon options, lefty and righty. So we don't have necessarily a set lineup, I would say, either. We're gonna run a number of different guys out there just based on the matchup, and also want to get some of those young guys in there and get them some experience to see how they do.
Birdie play first predominantly?
I think he'll play first, but he could also play some third base. Again, it just depends on some different combinations as far as kind of what we want to do in the infield. But I think over the course of the year, he's going to play some first, and he could play some third as well.
Probably Sam Hall over at third pretty good bit.
I think Sam will play some third. Sam could play some second. Sam could play some outfield. But we've been working him primarily at third base, really just to try to get him as acclimated as we can to third base, along with getting Bird as acclimated as we can get him to first base.
Those are your starting for the corners, infield?
Well, I would say that as of right now, that's what I would be leaning towards. I haven't written a starting lineup for this weekend yet. But we've been doing an awful lot of work with those guys at third and first base.
Kier maybe in left and Bryson center, and how do you see Wright shaking out?
We've got a number of guys that I would say are in the mix in the outfield. Michael Green's going to be in that mix. Has been working a lot in right field. Teodosio has been working primarily in center field. We've had Kier in left field. We've had Elijah Henderson, who's played really well all year long in left field and in center field some. Another guy that has really swung the bat very, very well, is also a plus defender, could play really all three, but is a very good defender in left or in right, is Bo Machkowski. He's played really well too. Left-handed bat, very athletic, good defender. So all those guys are going to be in the mix for opening weekend.
Have you been happy with what you've seen on the base paths as far as trying to change the philosophy a little bit the last few weeks?
We're certainly faster. We certainly have more guys that can do different things on the base pass, that can steal bases, can steal second, can steal third. We should be able to bunt for hits with a number of different guys. So yes, absolutely. I feel like this is the best base running club that we've had in my 4 years. But we got to do it against somebody else too. So, but we do have the ability from an athleticism standpoint of being able to run a little bit more.
When you went with Brooks, you're obviously the veteran, but he's got experience. How much did last year's success with him kind of help in your decision to give him the ball away?
Well, he's 15-2 as a starter, so I think that played a lot into it. And I'm pretty high on Sharp too, and high on Robleski. But I think for us, the biggest factor was just that Brooks has pitched very, very well all year long, fall and spring inter squads. I think he's a more complete starter right now than he has been in previous years. But he had a lot of success for us last year, and he's been a workhorse. He's been a guy that's been able to take the baseball every single week and give us quality starts. I think he's more ready to be able to go deeper into the game now than he was in the past, and that's partly just based on how we've used him. Early in his career, he was more of a long reliever than we started him, so that probably played a little bit into his ability to go super deep into a ball game. I think now that he had that full year last year being a starter, he's physically and mentally prepared to be able to go deeper into a ball game now, and that's why we decided to go with him in game one.
Certain major league managers are not afraid to bring in a closer if it's a tight ball game in the 7th or the 8th. Do you see Carson filling that role a little bit? Like, it doesn't have to be the 9th?
Yeah, no, I don't believe in. I believe in using your closer or your best reliever into highest leverage situations. I think there's certain guys that are probably more suited to one inning at the end of a ball game, but I think you have to be aware of when is their leverage situation, and when you get into those last 9 outs of the ball game, who's coming up? What's the score? You get runners on base and you got a 1-run lead. You may want to bring in your best guy right then and there and see what happens. I've also been a big believer in we don't worry about tomorrow. We're going to win today. I think it's been very evident in what we've done even in the middle of the week. We try to win every single game, and we put a huge emphasis on doing everything we can regardless of the opponent to win that game. So we'll use Carson Spires in every competitive moment that we need to use him if he's available. Whether that's on a Tuesday night, a Friday night, a Sunday, if he's available and feels good and he's ready to go, you could see him in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. We'd love to be able to keep him as a 9th inning guy, because that means that the guys that are pitching before him are doing a great job, that we have options of right-handed and left-handed bullpen guys to bridge the gap to him. But if we feel like, he's the best guy that we've got on this staff when it comes to getting outs with inherited runners. He was the best reliever on our staff last year with inherited runners. So a big key in being a reliever is what can you do when you come into the game with runners on base. We always talk about trying to bring guys in on a clean inning, but a true reliever can pitch with runners on base, and a pure hitter can hit with runners on base. So Carson can do that. So we're going to use him in high leverage situations.
He just seems so laid back. Is that part of what makes him successful, is that he just kind of has that chill factor?
He does. I mean, he is a very laid back individual. But I also think he is about as competitive a young man as we have in this program. On that pitching staff, this is a guy, he felt like from day one that he belonged. Even in his freshman year, where he only pitched a handful of innings, we were considering redshirting him, you know, as a freshman, because he transitioned from being a two-way player to a pitcher in that first year. And, you know, he never lost confidence in his ability of being able to compete at this level. And you could even see it late in his freshman year when we did pitching. And then last year, how good he was for us. So, you know, he's a laid-back guy, but when you give him the baseball, you know, he thinks he can beat the Red Sox. So he's very confident.
Coach, how well do you feel that your new guys are transitioning into the first collegiate baseball season and getting ready for South Alabama? And not only that, but their first ACC season.
Yeah, I think if you asked our guys throughout the whole fall and preseason, from a preparation standpoint, I don't know if we could have challenged them any more. Just with the way that we train our players, as hard as we work, I'm not sure if they could have done more. So they ought to feel really good going into our first weekend of playing somebody else that, from a preparation standpoint, we've challenged them about as hard as we can. And whether that's opening weekend, a midweek game, ACC, we get 56 opportunities to play. We don't put a whole lot more emphasis on one than the other. So, you know, for me, you know, I just care about Friday. You know, we're going to worry about game one when we get there, and I think whatever lineup we roll out there, whatever relievers we bring in, they'll be ready.